Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
In 1937, America passed the law to outlaw marijuana. At that point, our country began to lose 10% of its topsoil. All across the United States.
Let my people grow! Let my people grow!
Please find a petitioner with initiatives 21 and 22, the blue and green sheets. Please sign the initiatives now to help end marijuana prohibition.
Welcome back to the Global Cannabis March. This is a really big day for all of us every year. This 19th anniversary should really be a kickoff for something great too, because cannabis has come so far in the last year, let alone the last 10 years or 19 years. You probably know that there are a lot of people that made this happen through the years that are not here today. Unfortunately, everybody's not been able to see this wonderful thing come to fruition. A lot of folks may ask also, well, what the heck are we doing? Hey man, Oregon, you guys can smoke weed. Why are you even marching? That's because they're not from here and they don't understand the struggle. We have been working tirelessly, seriously, since the 80s with people like Paul Stanford, Paul Loney, and of course, Dr. Phil Levesque. Dr. Levesque passed away 3 years ago today on Global Cannabis Day, the most perfect day, of course, for him to decide to go through another door. What he did for Oregon and for the United States and for the world is hard to put into any kind of synopsis. It truly is. He was a brilliant man that absolutely did not ever give up to his dying day. When he was a kid and he graduated from high school, he went to University of Oregon and got a bachelor's in chemistry. And what did he do after that? He went and joined the Army in 1944 and became a scout in the Army, one of the most dangerous jobs there was. So thanks to him and Patton's Army crossing the Rhine, he was able to secure and liberate Americans and people that had been accosted by that terrible war for years, and he came home alive. What he also came home with was a terrible bout of PTSD, and he couldn't talk about the war for decades, not to his kids, not to his wife, not to anybody. When it finally broke free about 30 just over 30 years after the war, then he was able to start reaching out and helping other veterans. In Oregon, that meant helping veterans get off of narcotics and the terrible drugs that they were using, even alcohol, in order to combat the demons that they were suffering from PTSD. So Dr. Levesque, through his work in Oregon and fighting with the legislature, was one of the guys that made it possible for veterans to have access to the right medicine that would make them healthy and not kill them. So in 1998, Doc fought real hard. In 99, you know that it became legal for medical marijuana patients. By 2004, Dr. Levesque had 5,000 patients. He was the doctor in Oregon that had signed more cards than anybody else, so that put him in the spotlight, the target for problems with the authorities, problems with other doctors that wanted to keep their patients drugged up and under their care. And instead, Doc was freeing them from the terrible, drug addictions. So that got him in trouble. In 2005, he actually lost his license to practice. And after that, he became even stronger voice for legalization and for medical marijuana patients. He never stopped one day under any circumstances. They beat him down, but they never got him down. And he always came back stronger than he was. So what I would like to do is dedicate today and this stage, again, to Dr. Philip Levesque. And I know if he was here, he'd have a lot more to say about what it means to him to work with all of you guys, and that really you are his legacy, all of us are, and it's up to us to keep this momentum going stronger. We don't need to reschedule, we need to deschedule. Let's get this thing over with, okay? So let's do it for Doc Levesque and for Jack Hare and for everybody else that we have lost that were the big fighting warriors. We have to be their warriors, you guys. It's up to us now, okay? Anyway. And so only one last thing about Doc, and those of you that know him know that his last words would be, don't smoke in the rain. And if you have to ask, don't ask.
Hello, everybody. How you doing today? I am so grateful to be here today with you. This absolutely beautiful day in downtown Portland to free the plant. We have a lot of work to do. Our earth is hurting. Our people are hurting. The sacred balance of the feminine and masculine is off. It's really off. And I don't know about you, but I believe that cannabis is the key to restoring balance, to restoring equity, and to restoring our health. With cannabis legalization, we have an opportunity to do things differently. I see this as an opportunity for us to free our people who are sitting in jail still right now as other people profit off of this plant. We have an opportunity to create a solution to our dependency on plastics, on toxic chemicals, and on all sorts of things that don't seem to make sense for us anymore. Hemp is a solution to many things. We have a chance to restore equity for men and women, for people of all skin colors from all over the world. We have an opportunity to actually create programs with equity built into them. I am envious of the other places that are putting those policies into place right now, and I want Portland to do the same and Oregon to do the same for us to get, give assistance to the people that were in jail and whatever else, give them an opportunity to be working in cannabis through supportive programs, grant programs, and just assistance. I believe that this is our duty. Finally, I think that cannabis legalization is an opportunity for empowerment for women and men, for us to step up and take charge of our own lives and our own health and our own people. Why do you love cannabis? I know I love cannabis because it heals me for so many different properties. I have scoliosis, osteoarthritis, I'm a mom. I need cannabis for so many reasons on a daily basis. And I think one of my favorite things about cannabis is it helps me work through challenges. emotional challenges, if I'm ready to work out something, it will bring it up and it will help me work through it. Cannabis aids in our pain emotionally and physically. And until we realize this, I don't think the plant will be free. Cannabis helps me see my truth, and cannabis helps me face my fears. We all deserve love, happiness, health, equal rights, and access to clean medicine. My son Carmine is here today, and I want him to live in a world where he's free from shame around using cannabis as medicine.
Yeah? You feeling good? Well, I'm really excited to be here. Super glad to be back here again. For those of you who don't know about the ACLU, we are one of the oldest civil liberties organizations in the country. National organization is almost 100 years old now, and we've had an organization here in Portland and in Oregon for over 60 years. And we have been working on drug war issues and on marijuana issues for a very, very long time. Back when we were fighting for decriminalization of small amounts of marijuana a long, long time ago, fighting for medical marijuana, and then fighting for recreational marijuana. And really the fight continues. So I'm the policy director. I work on legislation at the state legislature. I also advocate in the city of Portland and cities and counties around the state. So, you know, at the ACLU, we really believe that the drug war and the war against marijuana that has been going on for a very, very long time, it's one of the most important civil liberties issues of our time. Really one of the most important issues. It's important because it has to do with people's access to medicine, which is incredibly important to all of us. And it also has to do with our personal autonomy, right? The decisions that we make about our own bodies and what we do with our own bodies and how we do things with our bodies that doesn't hurt anybody else, right? We're not hurting anybody else when we make decisions about using or not using marijuana. And so it's a really crucial issue that we be able to have that freedom, right? Not only that, the drug war intersects with so many other civil liberties issues that are important to us, right? There's a huge intersection with racial justice when we look at the way the drug war has really disproportionately impacted communities of color in this country and also, frankly, all around the world, right? And then there's such a huge intersection, obviously, with the criminal justice system and with the fact that we've been locking people up and you know, for manufacturing marijuana, for selling marijuana, for using marijuana for far, far too long. So, you know, we have come really far, and I'd like us just to take a moment to actually acknowledge that at least here in Oregon, we have come really, really far, and we should seriously pat ourselves on the back, all of us, for that fight, right? It's absolutely amazing, but we also need to acknowledge and recognize that we have so much farther to go, right? Here in Oregon, you know, we at the ACLU, we dream of an Oregon where insurance pays for medical marijuana, right? Where people have access to marijuana and not being able to afford it is not gonna stop them from being able to access their medicine, right? We dream of a world where medical patients and recreational users don't face discrimination in the workplace and in housing, and where we actually have protections against that kind of discrimination, right? Because what people are doing for medicine and what people are doing in their free time shouldn't have anything to do with what they're doing on the job, right? And where they get to live. So those are huge issues that we need to fight here in Oregon, but we also have a responsibility to fight for legalization in every single state in this country. And not only that, we need legalization everywhere in the world. And we really need to take responsibility for the fact that the United States really they took the drug war international, right? And we brought that mindset to places where that mindset did not even exist, right? And so we have a responsibility not only to change things here, but to change things in the rest of the world. So I'm just really, you know, I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be part of this amazing community of people who advocate for our rights and advocate against canna bigotry. we do have a lot of work to do, and I'm just here to tell you the ACLU of Oregon will be here. We will continue to fight with you, and I'm just really, really honored to be part of that fight. So thank you so much, everyone.
I am Doug McVeigh. I'm the editor of a thing called Drug War Facts at drugwarfacts.org. Please do check it out on the web. It's your premier source for information on drugs, drug policies here in the United States and around the world. I also do some radio work. You may have heard me on KBOO. I have a show called Free Culture Radio. Also have a thing called Century of Lies. It goes out once a week. And I got to tell you, it's a pleasure. It's such an honor to be at the Global Marijuana March. This has a long history. I don't know if you're all aware of this. But before there was the Global Marijuana March, a bit of a mouthful, there was the Million Marijuana March. And before the Million Marijuana March, as my friend Paul Stanford and I were discussing yesterday, there was the May Day Pot Parade. Now, May Day. The 1st of May is May Day. Some of you, many of you may be aware, but in case you're not, May Day is the International Day of Worker Solidarity. May Day is an event around the world where tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people gather and rally for individual rights. Has been for decades, since well before the marijuana movement started doing something on this day. Some people wonder, well, you got something on 420, why are you doing May Day? Yeah, whatever. 420 is a day of enforced jollity. If y'all really want to go out and have a party on Hitler's birthday, y'all have fun. I'll stay home, or I'll cover an event that's actually going on. But May Day, now that's something special. In this country, we have lost sight of that, labor unions not being what they used to be. We have sort of lost sight, and people like myself, who are proud to call ourselves socialists, may not necessarily see a lot of us out here. But there are May Day events, and for me, this is our May Day. This is our day to reach out in solidarity with others and say, we are your neighbors, we're your friends, we're your family members. We smoke weed, we like weed, we think that pot should be legal. And we ask you people to join with us in calling for that. It's not so we can have a party. I could have a party anytime. If it weren't for legalization and drug policy reform work, I'd have a lot more time for partying, all right? I'm doing this because it's important, because it's about freedom, because it's about justice, and it's because it's what's right. Social justice is where it's at. There's a thing called harm reduction, where you try to reduce the harms that people do to themselves and you manage the risks that people expose themselves to. Drinking alcohol, maybe just 1 drink an hour so that your body metabolizes. That's called harm reduction. Not taking a shot of whiskey to wash down your opiate, that's harm reduction because you could kill yourself doing that. Smoking marijuana to relieve your minor pains rather than taking an opioid, that's harm reduction. Okay? Simple concept. When we give out clean syringes to people who insist on injecting drugs, people who inject drugs are people too. They're our friends, they're our family members, they're our sisters and our brothers, they're our parents, they're our spouses, they're our partners, they're our friends. They're people. So we can either leave them to get sick and to die, or we can do something about it, right? Now, Portland, there are a handful of people who've been working for a little while, and it's getting a little bigger, trying to put something together called a supervised injection facility. I know, little off topic, this is a weed thing, but you know, we got here because of drug policy reform. And we got here because people were willing to break the law to do what they think is right. Now, we have a syringe exchange that's run by the county in this area, Multnomah County, a wonderful thing, but we need more because of the overdose crisis and because really resources are just being outstripped. So a lot of folks are working to get this area to consider a supervised consumption facility, a safe consumption space, a safe injection facility. The city of New York is running close. King County, Seattle is trying. They're trying to get this done in San Francisco. They hope to have it, in fact, by sometime this summer down in San Francisco. Portland, it's our turn. We've been a leader in all this stuff. We've been a leader in marijuana legalization, in medical marijuana, and in harm reduction for a very long time. It's because people like you come out to events like this and let elected leaders and officials and just these, I'll be nice, people in places like studio on the square, we let them know that we really are serious, that we want this stuff to change, and we're not going to go away until it's happened. And frankly, we're still going to be here because it's still not going to be perfect, and there's still a lot of work to be done. Sure, we have medical, but God help you if you live in an apartment or federally subsidized housing. Sure, we have legalization. Of course, do be careful if you try and consume out here, because it's illegal to consume in public, and there are very likely people who would have you arrested. So, you know, are we ready? Okay, I'm going to get through and wrap this up in a second. So here's the thing. Marijuana legalization is a great thing. Drug decriminalization is absolutely vital. Harm reduction is important. All this stuff is why I do what I do. I volunteer several hours a week doing radio production. I manage a few hours of working for a few different groups. Patients Out at Time. Oh yeah, before I leave, I need to remind you, Patients Out at Time, terrific resource, still working on medical cannabis, still working to educate healthcare professionals and the public. Have a conference coming up May 10th through 12th. It's going to be in Jersey City, but hey, some flights are cheap if you got a chance, and we'll have some video after the event. You can check it out. Again, my name is Doug McVeigh. drugwarfacts.org. You can find a lot more information and all the stuff I've been talking about. I want to thank you all for being here. You are beautiful. Happy May Day.
Hey. Afternoon, everybody. I just want to make a clarification point. I'm local counsel for NORML in Oregon, but I'm also on the National Legal Committee as well as a lifetime member. So I want to talk to everybody today about a couple things. The big things I want to talk to people today about are prison, incarceration, compassion, and making this a better place for us, not only here in Oregon, where it's really, 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 really wonderful, and I hope you all realize that. Right now, I've got enough marijuana in my pocket to send me to prison for the rest of my life in certain places in the United States, okay? So I want you to understand that. You're living in a place right now where marijuana is very, very legal. There's a lot of people in this country who don't have that. They don't have that ability. And so what I want to talk about today, and one of the people I really want to talk about, is Bernard Noble. Does anybody here know who Bernard Noble is? Raise your hand if you know who Bernard Noble is. I got you, Russ. I got my team over here. I got Raphael over here. I got anybody else. Anybody else here who's done 5+ years in prison? Anybody? You back there. Come up for a minute. I want you to come up. It's important. And you don't have to, I'm not going to say anything about you specifically, but I want people to understand something here. We've got this man here who's done over 5 years in prison. Understand that. Bernard Noble, Louisiana, 13-year minimum mandatory sentence. Can anybody tell me how much marijuana Mr. Noble had on him when he was sentenced to 13 years in prison for a mandatory minimum? Miss Johnson, come up here. That much marijuana. This sent a man to prison for 13 goddamn years, okay? A lot of lawyers worked really hard. A lot of people worked really hard. A lot of advocates worked really hard. Can anyone tell me how much time Mr. Noble actually served? 7 years. 7 goddamn years in prison for an amount of marijuana. Can you hold that up for me, Miss Johnson? That amount of marijuana sent a man to prison for 7 years in this country right now, okay? That's what we're living with in America. This bottle right here, this is 30 years to life in Mississippi. This is what stops people's seizures. This is what stops people from being in chronic pain all day. This is what stops people from hurting every day of their life. And for some of us out there, it just makes us feel good after work so we don't have to drink 3 shots of whiskey, okay? So, I want to be really clear. We live in an amazing place in Oregon. Any one of you who's 21 years of age or older, or 18 and older and a medical patient, can walk into a store and buy this. This was given to me today by someone who has the right to make it because Oregon has home grow. We have the right to grow your own medicine or recreation as you see fit, and we fought really hard for that privilege. Not every state has that. Every state will have that. That will happen. That day will come back, because that day was not that long ago. We will end marijuana prohibition entirely in this country. One day at a time, one person at a time, one prisoner at a time. I want you to understand, though, I want you, everyone in here, to think for a moment. This gentleman spent 5+ years in prison, okay? What I want right now from everyone here is something really simple, and it's silence. I want everyone here to take 30 seconds, and I want you to think about what it would be like to spend the next 5 years of your life in prison for the amount of marijuana that I'm holding in my hand, okay? I'm gonna time it. I'm gonna shut up. It's really rare that I shut up. So starting now, 30 seconds of silence. You just did 30 seconds. The man who just walked off the stage did 5 years. Bernard Noble did 7 years, 4 months and a couple days, and he's on parole. He's still getting drug tested every month. He's still in the position that if he screws up in the slightest, if he so much as runs a red light, that man's back in prison over 2 grams of marijuana. So I want everyone here today to think about what it would be like to spend that amount of time in a metal cage over a plant, because that's what we're still dealing with in America. Every single one of you here today has the right to walk around as long as you're an adult with an ounce of marijuana in your pocket, and no one gets to say much else to you. And that's a wonderful privilege that we live in such a place, but it's not finished. Just because it's done here doesn't mean it's done everywhere else. I don't know if you noticed or not, but my accent ain't from here. I'm originally from North Carolina. My family members died in prison, okay? I had friends and family who were in cages. They went there for years and years and years for an amount of marijuana that honestly, people in stores here throw on a counter and can sell to you. I want you to understand that we have it really, really good. We have it amazing in Oregon. We have a system here that rivals any in the US. Are we gonna make it better? Yes. There are problems with it. Everyone here knows, if you're involved in this fight, that it's not perfect. But what I want you to understand is that when people come here from Mississippi, when they come here from Louisiana, when they come here from Idaho, when they come here from the South, when they come here from other countries where marijuana is the death penalty, they come to a place that allows them freedom, that allows the compassion, and allows us to live in a better world because we get to share with those people. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you, okay? I'm gonna do one last thing, and I do it every year. I have to do it, and it is this. This is my lighter. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's my business card. It's what I give out to people. It's my way of making the world a better place because it's free legal advice that'll keep you out of 99% of your problems. What we're gonna do is we're gonna walk through it. It says one simple thing. Am I free to go, officer? If I am being detained, I do not consent to any searches, and I want to speak with my attorney prior to answering any questions. Once again, am I free to go, officer? If I am being detained, I do not consent to any searches, and I want to speak with my attorney prior to answering any questions. I can't fix every single one of your problems, but what I can do with this is keep the cops out of your life, out of your car, out of your home, out of your lives, out of your children's lives, and make the world a better fucking place.
And we love our dark skin. We are not ashamed. We are not embarrassed. We are not humiliated by the racism in this country because the people that are pushing it out there, they're the ones who should be ashamed of themselves. All of us are disgusted by racism. Fuck that shit. One of the things that I need to talk about today is not only the decriminalization, which we're continuously fighting for. Marijuana use in this city, in this state, is supposed to be legal, but we still have to worry about where we can legally use, where we can legally medicate. My son is right now on RSO oil for his seizures. He has grand mal seizures. The only thing that helps him and his wife, who has epilepsy, is the use of the cannabis and the oils that it produces. But having access to it is the biggest problem for him, because you know what? If you can't afford to get it as a medical patient and keep up all the bureaucracy and policy behind that, then being a recreational user, you're still being criminalized. And especially a child with brown skin who has seizures, who might seize during a car while he's driving. He might have a seizure at the time that he's walking his kids to the park. And you know what's my biggest fear is that happening. That happening and the police hurting him, taking his life because they don't know that he's having an attack. They don't know that he's having a health issue at the time. because of how we see people that utilize marijuana in this country. One of the things that he has to deal with, not only the seizures, but having to deal with racism every day. He is in an interracial relationship. His wife was told one day by a child that she grew up with that she was a breeder now because she had mixed kids by my son. How humiliating for not only them as a couple that's trying to live in the year 2017, 2018 in America, to be humiliated by racism, but to know that they're pushing that on their children. I advocate for a lot of children, and one of the things I tell them is that the things that are happening right now, they're not their faults. And they don't have to carry on the same traditions and values and policies that we've been taking into consideration to reform. They need to break these systems. Fuck reform. It's time for reconstruction. And when we talk about reconstruction, we know that it doesn't take rocket science to make outside public consumption a thing. We know that it adds to the value of public safety because people don't have to hide what they're doing when they're trying to deal with the girls of today. All of these ills that we're dealing with, all of the things that are creating PTSD in all of us. If you didn't have PTSD before the Trump inauguration, you got it now. I was in the hospital watching it on morphine, dying, coming out of a surgery, and I knew that we were in for a fight. I got out of that hospital ready. I got out of that hospital, I connected with the ACLU, I connected with Indivisible Oregon, I connected with my community, and we kept moving. Because the fact that we're getting tired of fighting, it doesn't mean that we're losing, it just means that we have to be more innovative in the way that we do our outreach. Everybody should be on the front line, nobody should be behind. We don't have saviors in this movement, we have allies. We have comrades. We have people that feel the same way that we do, and the only thing that is in between us is legalities. People think that speaking out, freedom of speech, that's violent. People see it as violent if they don't control the conversation. We have right now, with the legalization in the state of Oregon, the opportunity to change that conversation. This industry is making money. That money can be used for our education. And I'm not talking about only the education in our schools, I'm talking about political education. When our numbers and our neighbors understand the value of what we're talking about, when we need to continue to influence policy, when they become the allies in this fight, we will win. When we invest in elected officials that understand the priorities when we talk about public safety and marijuana use and not having our children be tased and chased and shot for having a joint or a pipe in their pocket, when they understand the value of integrating what they believe is a better future into where we're talking about having access, liberation, then that's when those things will change. Put your money in this industry where our future needs to be. Give our children access to the guidance that they need. Give them a blank slate. Let's make something that matters happen. We don't have to propagate the falsehoods of the people that we elect that come to us with lip service. Vote them out. Vote them out. If you don't trust them, don't give them a chance. We in this industry, we understand what second chances look like, and we haven't gotten them from an elected leader. We haven't gotten them from a political relationship or legislation. They just keep putting our ideas and our thoughts and our necessities on the back burner. No more. I'm trying to see a revolution. I remember when New Approach and Anthony Johnson, when all of that was happening, and I was standing on the front line as a candidate for Multnomah County because I understood it to be a health necessity. I understood that having access to it, that it would decrease the necessity for our courts to deal with us on a criminal level. And it would encourage our health departments and our health resource operators to utilize it as a leverage where there is no opportunity for those that do not have access to the health care that will make us healthy. We know RSO works. It's on the record, it works. We know that legal consumption, if done properly through our process, don't let somebody who's never used weed tell you how to policy it, how to legislate it, how to make it right. We know it's normal for us. We don't want to be normalized by their bullshit politics. So let's create what we need and let's do it together. smoke.
Hey, thank you guys. Thanks for everybody showing up. If we don't show up, we don't blow up. So we encourage everybody to get out to all the events, represent, and make sure that we can hold the people who got this industry moving, that we can all transition into this industry. These green rushers are moving in. They're trying to like wipe us all out for pennies on the dollar. That's been their plan. They really have no heart and soul into cannabis. So when you go out there and spend your hard-earned money on cannabis, support the stores and support the locations that support the people who brought you here. It's been a long road for all of us. My wife was part of the first collective garden in San Diego in 1996. Our collective got raided in San Diego in 1999, where I was arrested for 448 plants. We've done a lot of things. Everybody's done a lot of things. We put a lot of energy into this, and we need to get something back. You know, we really need to hold on to our medical laws. What we've seen, what happened in Washington is a disgrace to medical, and it's really a disgrace to all the efforts that everybody put in. The same people who fought against this tooth and nail, Inslee and all the rest of us, who fought against cannabis, now will go to the death to protect the tax dollar. So our plan really worked. Our plan was to like get them addicted to the money, and then we'll be able to legalize. So they're all addicted. It's spreading across the country. States are lining up. They all want to cash in on it. But we still need to show up at these events and let our voice be heard to make sure that the small guys and the small farmers and the craft farmers don't get wiped out. The big talk now is the race to the bottom. Well, we saw the race to the bottom come in years ago because there's big corporations already out there who are ready to lose $30 to $50 million to create market, to capture market share. So when you go out there, make conscious choices on what you buy. Buy organic, buy clean, buy local, just like we do here in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon. We need to do the same for cannabis. It's not about the dollar. The lower the price, probably the crappier weed you're getting. So support your local growers, organic growers, and keep on showing up at the events. And, you know, show up on a regular basis and you can really make a change in the cannabis movement. So thank you so much for everybody coming out today. I want to thank Normal and Parents for Pod and Paul Sanford and their group and everybody for keeping Oregon on going. I want to thank Anna Diaz for kind of being the backbone here, and Madeline Martinez and all of these people who have really brought us here today and got us through legalization. So thank you so much for supporting cannabis in Oregon, and show up and blow up.
What's that? I am a peaceful person. I don't destroy any business property. I don't injure the police. I don't block too much traffic.
This heals cancers.
Larry. Don't worry. line.
Nowhere to go, man.
You're beautiful.
You're beautiful too, my friend. Just wait, man.
Cannabis kills cancer! Let our people grow! 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 Cannabis cures cancer! Let our people grow! Cannabis cures cancer!
What's up, Jenny?
Oh, I smoke pot and I like it a lot. Yeah?
She does. Vicky does. I can attest to that.
Oh, I smoke a lot of pot?
We want to be treated fairly with a just system, which we voted for, and that's what we want. We don't want to have to go to Salem every week using our gas dollars, taking off work, to have to fight for issues that we already voted for.
I'm going fast at all, just don't stop and
Prohibition's gotta go! Prohibition's gotta go!
Prohibition's got to go!
Prohibition got to go! Prohibition got to go!
Prohibition's gotta go.
Prohibition got to go!
It's a solid internet provider. Smoke while we Solidarity saliva.
Yeah, right? Prohibition! And that is, we want our rights implemented as we voted for in 2014 when we passed Measure 91 by 56% of the vote. We don't want our counties banned. We don't want cities banned. Our counties and cities outside of Florida and Southern are the same tax structure that we've got.
Still working, I go?
Oh yeah.
Alright, good.
Oh, the that?
Yeah.
Didn't we start it until a year ago today?
Keep up the fight. You hear Herb with LK's microphone? LK's bullhorn, man. Fuck yeah. This sucker's got energy right now. Doing that.
Do what they want. Take your checks. Leave my medicine alone. I want to grow not 5, 15. How about 30? That's what I need. I don't need 2, 5. I need as much as I need for my medical condition. Without my cannabis, my baby wouldn't be here.
Free the weed. Free the weed.
We need our cannabis business to be able to have banking situations. We want to go to banks too. We want to have legal businesses, same rights. We want bank accounts. How you guys doing today? We're marching for legalization of marijuana. We voted for it in 2014, and we passed it. But unfortunately, the system that we voted for hasn't been implemented like we need. And so we're out here in the streets of Portland today having to spread a message that we want fairness. We want worker fairness. We want renter fairness. 420 right there.
Make hemp legal to grow.
Happy 420, everybody. Happy 420. Happy 420, you guys. Happy 420. Happy 420, Jason. You too, buddy. Sorry. Happy 420. Happy 420. Happy 420.
Happy 420.
Yeah. Oh, they did it on purpose. Yeah, that's awesome.
Freedom for all, cannabis, marijuana. How you guys doing in here? Man, you guys
Right there. What's up, girl? Glad you got the banner.
Prohibition's got to go! Hey! Oh! Prohibition's got to go! Hey! Oh! Prohibition's got to go! Hey! Oh! Prohibition's got to go! Hey! Oh!
Prohibition's got to go.
Hey! Oh!
How you guys doing today? We're marching for cannabis.
As much as we can.
About renter fairness, employment fairness. We want an indoor clean air act solution. A fair solution. We want a proper place to be. Feel the burn.
Thank you for everything you guys do. That's beautiful.
A couple years ago, this is our friend, the late, great Larry
John?
Kirk,
Oh,
LK. We'll be right back after this.
Well, it was really important because that way sick people could have their medicine for nothing.
And, you know, that's what this is all about. The government wants to keep marijuana illegal because they can't find a way to tax it. If they had a for sure way of taxing it, we wouldn't have the problems we have with legalizing it today, because everybody knows there's medical properties to marijuana. It is the most important thing is the home grow. That means that my medicine don't cost me. That means that I can grow it for nothing. You don't charge somebody or say somebody can buy a tomato at a grocery store, but they can't grow their tomatoes. You don't tell somebody they can go buy their ears of corn, but they can't grow corn. Why are you going to tell somebody they can have their medicine, but they can't grow it? Well, the first thing I would say is take your money away from those states. So move to a state that believes that you're not a criminal. There are states out there, guys. There's Washington, there's Oregon, there's Colorado now, there's Alaska. Hey, there's Washington, D.C., guys. So take your money out of the states that are oppressing you and move. Do not give tax money to Oklahoma. Don't give tax money to Texas. Take your businesses out of those states and move them to states that believe that you're not a criminal. Take that money that you're spending in Texas and take it to Colorado. My God, it's only one state away, guys. You know, take your money and speak with your money. Speak with your votes. And if you start taking the money and you start running to the legal states, those states will start changing their attitudes, guys. I'm telling you. So you need to vote with your pocketbooks. The belief that young people don't need to go to jail for a flower. I'm tired of young people losing their scholarships because they decided to party one night. They're doing nothing less or more than their grandfathers did, but yet we're prosecuting them as if they are big criminals. No matter how much progress you make, there's still work to be done. These people are my heroes. They've worked so hard in this movement, but yet they keep working, they keep going. You know, look at Mr. Emery. I mean, good Lord, look what they did to him, and he's out now and he's back to activism. Thank God for people like these men. Well, High Times since the 70s has been in the forefront of getting the lies that the government's been saying out. So why wouldn't you want to support a magazine that's letting the truth be known? I mean, anytime that you can find out the truth, educate yourself, man. And High Times has been educating the stoners population since the 70s. I think the first High Times that I bought was 1975. So they've been at it for a while, guys. And as far as the cups go, oh my God, what an honor it is to be a part of that. I mean, you get to try some of the best medicine in the world, and to have your opinion matter. That's a good thing. But the best thing is because of their push for legalization. I mean, buy the magazine, guys. If you think that young people shouldn't go to jail for marijuana, buy a High Time magazine. If you think that young people shouldn't lose their scholarships because of smoking a joint, go to one of these High Time cups. If you think that young people shouldn't have to pick up the highways because they might have smoked a joint somewhere in their past, then attend any function that you can that supports the movement. So get out there with your dollars and vote, and with your movement and vote.
Scary to them.
All right. So that was our friend.
And we're back.
Larry Kirk, who passed away fighting cancer about 3 years ago now.
Yeah,
right?
we miss him.
We do. He was a real inspiration.
I carry him with me on my keys. They made a little peace sign for me, a pewter and his ashes. And so he always used to like to go bye-bye, so I carry him around with me everywhere.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's great. Well, we're happy to keep his memory alive here on Cannabis Common Sense. So we just got about 5 minutes left here.
Oh, I have a number for you for Representative Greg Walden.
And he's the only Oregon congressional representative who opposes marijuana legalization. What is his number, Madeline?
His phone number is 541-776-4646. And please give him a call and let him know how you feel about marijuana and how you feel disappointed that he doesn't support Oregonians. I'm sorry, Oregonians.
I think it's important for people to realize how easy it is to be a part of the legislative process. It was designed for us to come influence it. You can call up your representatives, you can find out who represents you, you can meet them here in Oregon, you can go out to DC and see them. They work for you, they're paid by your tax dollar, they have to talk to you if you're their constituent. Go do it.
And they should be listening to us, and if you don't call them, what do you expect?
Right.
Give them a call, let them know how you feel. You can even send them a letter. You can't fax them anymore, can you?
Why would you?
I don't know. Maybe you can.
Text.
You can definitely email.
Yes, emails are always good.
If you got a fax. Who's
But-
got one anymore?
I
I still
don't
got
know.
one.
Do you
for
have-
medical
I
records.
knew you would have.
Their job is to represent you, and if they don't know what you think, they can't represent you. And if they don't know that it's not just one patient here or a few weed heads over here, it's all of us. We're all affected by this policy, whether or not you smoke or a stoner, and so we all have to be involved in this.
So, we have this banner right behind us that is turned around backwards. And Angela, you did a lot of research and helped on this case. I went through a injunction by Multnomah County Court that says I cannot show our own banner for the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, even though I'm the president of the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation. It's a long, complicated story, but we're going to be going to trial on May 15th right here in Portland at the Multnomah County Courthouse. So we want to have you come out and show support for us in this trial on May 15th in the Multnomah County Courthouse. We'll have more information. They'll assign the judge the day before. You did a lot of research on this to help us in the earlier stages of the case. And you're working on a book that includes this in the story right now.
Yeah, I've been working on investigative journalism work for the last 10 years or so in the cannabis-specific space.
You worked with Ed Rosenthal for a number of years, I remember
Yeah,
that.
I came into the cannabis space in 2007 as a student journalist at San Francisco State, and then I became the editorial assistant to Ed Rosenthal pretty quickly after that. I've specialized in investigative journalism a lot because I studied my MBA in Oakland in 2010 during the Prop 19 campaign. So I was watching an industry surface while working at Oaksterdam during the day and then going and studying economics and business at night. So to me, the way that we've been rolling this out has been very important. And what I've seen is that starting in Oakland in 2010, the government of Oakland became the first jurisdiction in the United States to license, regulate, and tax cannabis. They created 4 limited, vertically integrated mega-grow licenses, and there was a lot of corruption around how those licenses got assigned. But that concept and the players that helped put that there ended up going state house to state house to state house afterwards, and that's why we saw limited licensing happening on the East Coast. So what I'm seeing is not necessarily a conspiracy so much as business as usual, but what we've done is allowed Wall Street to be able to carve up the legal market ahead of legalization.
And so your book will be addressing that.
Absolutely. And like in particular, I think this is really poignant to talk about in Oregon and California, because that is the epicenter of the production of this country for generations. We have always been exporting our product out of state, and then we legalized, but we've had to contain our markets in state.
Are we almost out of time? All right, that's it for the show this week. We'll be back next week. Thanks for watching. Help us restore hemp.
Now the next time that you fall in love, just appreciate the sun above, 'cause the sun is